Introduce yourself.
I am Paige McElvey. I am Zach McElvey's daughter and one of the first grandchildren. I don't remember how many there are ahead of me, but there's not many. Couple of stories really. One of the things that I remember is somebody's at the door as we speak and the doorbell rings. But one of the things that I remember is from as young as I can is just always coming to grandmother and granddaddy's and the football games, the stories, the fun, and everybody would get together. It was the one place that everybody would come together at all times. From the grandchildren, once there were a handful of us, would actually go down the street to the park and we would play football, and probably not in the manner of which we were told we were allowed to, as we had a few that would get hurt here and there. And well, they attempted to take that away, but it didn't work very well. We still went down there and played and had fun, but then we'd come back and we'd watch the football game. It was always Thanksgiving because we'd come back and then we'd catch on that Auburn, Alabama game and finish at grandmother and granddaddy's and before we all dispersed and headed out. But many a nights of staying, visiting, because fortunately I was local, so I could come visit and stay, and you had to love her once it was all spread out and it was not, so small for 7 children and 2 adults and everybody that was coming and going. It had been turned into just pretty much a 2-bedroom house and a nice size, den and living room and kitchen and so forth. But, you can't forget her Pepto-Bismol pink bathroom that nobody forgets no matter what the situation is. No, hello, here we are. It does not go away because it was pink from top to bottom, from the counter to the tile in the shower. Everywhere you turned, all the way down to the tub was pink. It was pink everywhere. So, no, that is true. The floor was green. At least it matched. But sort of. But it was there's I don't think there's enough stories that could really have time to tell. But the love that she had, I remember her sitting in the back. She had the couch right on the back wall, and she had her little stand right to the right of it, and she had her Bible on it, and she'd just sit back there and she'd just read. And she would just read it, and she'd just read aloud sometimes, and she would just go at it, and you couldn't help but to see the love she had for God, for Christ, and then not just that, but for her children and how she instilled it. And as a grandchild and seeing all the wonderful aunts and uncles, you could tell. I mean, you just knew that no matter which way they traveled, no matter which way they turned, no matter where they went, you knew that the love that Pope and Emma had instilled in them, and that it wasn't just telling them what to do, it was showing them. It was walking the walk, and it was showing them the path that they needed. And because of that, I think that's, one of the reasons we're all here today, and we all continue to get together. In tying that in as this wonderful, McElvey reunion, that was probably not one of the first memories, but as this was why we were doing this get together, one of the first memories that I had of Dad, Zach, that was the main reason we started this. When he was sick and we knew we didn't know if he'd make another one,
he wanted to do it.
Tissue now. But that was one of the best ones that we had.
And I guess everyone should think
it does.
Yeah.
But
it makes us all think of it.
We had talked about it for years, but it never really transpired. And so, for it to be, for the reasoning we did, but to see that here 6 years later we're still doing it. And so it wasn't just a one-time thing. And so we still do, and we might not have all the stories on video, but there's still a ton. I said I wasn't going to cry either. But
So did the rest of us.
Daddy was one of the kindest
So-
men I ever met. He
But-
happens to sit in the room now, and Douglas is missing, but
But
great
yeah.
family, great men.
And they were. So, point being is, you can see by the steps that, all the aunts and uncles take of what Pope and Emma did through their life and how hard they fought for their children. But to teach them hard work and to teach just the way of life. But it like I said, it wasn't by just the word. It was by their hands. It was by their bodies. It was by their show. So I'm glad, I'm proud, and I'm lucky to be a part of the McElvey family because I got to see it. And I've got to live it. And it's taught me. It's taught me a lot. So, spending time there was great. I remember many times coming in and being, as a young adult and being pregnant with CJ, and she'd come in, when's that baby due? And we'd go over it, and, and this was in the latter part, and we'd have that same conversation, I think, every time I showed up to, even after poor CJ was born. And I'd go, there's a big difference in my appearance here, grandmother. Not only that, he's in the seat right over here. I brought him with me. And so it was always a lot of fun. And she loved on CJ as much as she could there for the, at the end. But a lot of fun and a lot of Basra days, a lot of card days, and just the little things. And those are the things that, that I enjoyed the most and loved the most. And then, of course, with Dad, it was kind of the same. It was fun because we'd sit around and we'd just, watch baseball and play rummy. It was just in Basra, and it was just one of those things. It just followed the family line. We just did it, over and over. It was a constant thing. I think he was the one that got me in when we did the full summer reunions with grandmother's side, and the Azar reunions was when I was suckered on into playing in that rummy tournament every summer we did. Never won to this day. Thought I was a whole lot better than I was. I wasn't so good when it came down to playing others, but it was fun. We had a lot of fun doing it. So I'm just glad. So with the many stories, mine are not near as, to the past. Mine are more future related and, the last, handful of years, but it's been fun, and I just feel lucky. So.